Back then, she'd had the mental energy to force doctors to recognize she existed long enough to explain her situation. She had stopped explaining it after the third time one suggested she stay overnight for observation. She'd had the feeling that stay would be an award one could not voluntarily leave. The bus rumbled out of its idle with a jolt that reverberated through Nix's entire body. Despite the resultant spike in her migraine, she felt relief. She was leaving. Nix didn't know what was waiting for her in Montana, save that it had to be better than whatever was here. And at least she wouldn't be sweltering in the heat 9 months out of the year. She'd first tried to leave on a whim a few years ago, back when she'd still had a little money. Reading too many internet articles on the importance of self-care had convinced her a day trip was just the thing to cure her problems. She'd still had a car then, and it had taken her several miles up the I-17 to figure out that her nausea and migraine weren't going to go away. She turned around and, wonder of all wonders, her physical ailments had decreased the closer she came to the Tempe border. Once she got into the city proper, they had disappeared altogether. It had taken 8 more attempted day trips to convince her that her physical problems were a direct result of trying to leave her geographical location, and that had been enough to create a full-blown obsession. After all, if the location itself had this effect on her, then maybe it was possible her memory issues and the fact that no one noticed her were tied to the location as well. Only passing out and nearly totaling the car had convinced her that the physical ailments weren't something she could overcome through her own willpower. Back then, it hadn't seemed worth the risk. Now she didn't have anything left to stop her from trying again. No home, no family or friends or lover who would miss her. She didn't even have a dog because she wasn't selfish enough to get one when she couldn't even take care of herself. The bus chugged along toward its stop in Phoenix, and Nix's relief at moving gave way to the customary panic that seized her whenever she got too far from whatever residence she currently called home. Her hand went to her throat, pulling the chain of her necklace from beneath her shirt, reassuring herself of the pendant's presence. She studied the sphere of 4 overlapping rings, 1 platinum, 1 onyx, 1 copper, and 1 indigo. The pendant flared with warmth, curling into her touch. She closed her fingers around the sphere, and calm replaced panic as she slipped it beneath her shirt. The necklace was another link in a very long chain of things she hated herself for, but she couldn't help it. She'd promised, the person who had been the only bright spot in the last handful of years, that she would always keep the necklace close to her, keep it safe. Nix Fortuna always kept her promises. Midway into Phoenix, the nausea set in, a full-body flu-like ache close on its heels. No one noticed her discomfort, though the sweat poured off her in rivulets, and she eventually understood that the low moaning sounds she heard were of her own making. Even when the blood started to pour out of her nose and she had to grab a shirt from her backpack to staunch the flow, no one looked at her. No one noticed. Her vision blacked at the corners of her eyes. She fought through it with the panic of a wild animal, certain that if it fell asleep, it would not wake again. And Nix Fortuna discovered that she might have thought she was willing to die in the name of freedom, but she wasn't. The bus slowed as it pulled into the Phoenix station. Nix choked back a mouthful of blood and shoved to her feet, grasping the seat in front of her as her vision exploded in a multitude of bright lights. She took a deep breath and fled. The bus's other occupants remained calm and bored, not even a blink from the bus driver as she forced the doors open. She tripped on the exit steps, the knee of her threadbare jeans ripping, and her bare skin grinding into dirty asphalt, a fresh pain blending with the old ones. She rolled to her feet and stumbled 6 paces away from the bus before she fell back on all fours, retching up blood and acrid bile. The pain in her head morphed into opposing pressures. The inside felt as if her brain was swelling up, and the outside felt as if it was locked inside a slowly tightening vice. She was going to die. It hit her with stunning clarity. She was too disoriented to know which direction Tempe...